live radio happening right now. And thank you so much for performing for us, being here with us this morning, first of all. And also thank you for the live censoring. You did that impeccably.
I was thinking really hard about it.
With radio, you gotta censor it. I know that a few of us were like, okay, make sure. So thank you for doing that. I hear that you are a new Los Angeles resident. Yes. Is that right? Woo! Yes. Welcome to the good place.
Thank you.
How's it been for you? How's LA treating you?
It's good. You know, as a New Yorker, I truly am a New Yorker in the sense that I'm like, oh, the sun is oppressive, but I do really like it.
Some New Yorkers, though, they come here and then they like complain and they're like, I thought it was sunny all the time. And then when it's cold or when it rains in LA, they're like, LA, you're ripping me off. So it's funny to hear like the flip of that.
Yeah, no, I can't relate to those people.
Can't relate to those people. Also, I want to give it up to the band.
Yes.
It's really incredible. Yes.
Yes, that's Michael Blasky is playing sax and keys and bass, and Drew Tishine is on the drums.
Yeah, that was awesome. Loving that so much. And you'll see at some point on the other end that they are in matching trench coats, which I guess is like bringing a little taste of New York.
Yeah, you know, we'll ask them if they like it.
We'll ask them. So, you know, it's really incredible to watch your journey as an artist. I feel like every time you're coming at us with a new project, we get like another dose of who you are and maybe like another side of your artistry and your personality. And I'm wondering if you sort of feel like you're like re-debuting yourself each time you have a new release.
Well, yes, unfortunately. I mean, I've tried to keep it the same, but I think I really am drawn to that feeling of beginning again or being a beginner and what I can discover as a beginner. So it's really not intentional. I've really tried to make things sound the same.
No, we don't want it to sound the same.
No. I wanted it to.
I mean, there's certainly a through line where it still sounds like you, especially because your voice is so unique to you and so beautiful, and I mean that'll never go away. So I mean that's there, and it makes everything sound like it goes together. And I also noticed like you really lean into a lot of like visual cues as well, like. And I really relate to that. I mean, when I started this current position that I'm in, I was like, I'm shaving off all my hair and I'm dyeing it blonde because it was like an important like moment for me to kind of reset.
Yes.
And I'm kind of sensing that with you when you have like a new project. Do you like lean into visual cues or even sceneries to inspire the change that's happening?
Definitely, especially for this album that was written mostly in intense grief and despair. I felt like, you know, changing my appearance helped me cope with how to share again, how to deal with being seen again, and how to do that openly. So it actually has helped me a lot in coming back to performance after grief.
Mm-hmm. And this album, it took you a little while to do. I mean, between this one and the last one, about 4 years, and was part of that like dealing with the grief and just allowing yourself to take time?
Totally, yeah. It's been 4 years, but I feel like 2 of those years don't count for any of us. So
true.
So yeah, I mean, I think I've had to like live a bit of life, figure out what I want to do next, and just deal with the changes and figure out how to talk about it and how to write songs about it.
So all of the songs that you're performing for us today are from the new album, except for one, which you just performed, Water Me Down. Beautiful song, one of my favorites. And I'm curious why you're including that one for us this morning.
Well, it's a song that I made in my friend Eric Litman's bedroom in Brooklyn, and he was my best friend, and he passed away, and so I like to keep it in the set kind of as a reminder of just our collaboration.
So beautiful. And it makes sense like with the other songs that are around it as well too. So
yeah. I think it was like a flirting with this bedroom house kind of production that I was learning how to do at the time that I'd like to think I expanded on a bit on Sorry I Haven't Called.
Yeah, and it seems like you're really having a lot of fun performing this album. Do you think, more fun than other albums that you've released in the past?
Yes, because it's just really nice to look out at the shows that we've done for this album and to see people dancing. I think I've touched people and we've shared in this live experience together. But it's really cool to make people feel joy and like euphoria and make them feel like they want to move, because I understand how it can feel to be in a space where you're just paying attention and feeling self-conscious. So to have the fans like abandon their self-consciousness at the shows and just dance along with me has been really fun.
Yeah, I feel like that goes along also with the idea of going through grief, but creating an album that has like joy and happiness is kind of like a form of rebellion from the place that you may be in. And that's something that I really gravitate to, the idea of like joy as rebellion.
Totally.
Right? So I want to flash back a little bit. I mean, you mentioned that you're a New Yorker, but I also just always think it's so interesting to think about like where someone's roots are from. And I know that you're originally from Cameroon and you came here when you were like a teenager. Is that right?
Yeah, preteen.
Yeah. So can we like flash back for a moment? I want to know like what it was like for you. How did you feel when you moved from Cameroon to, was it New York?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Harlem, New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I don't remember all that much about it, but the broad strokes were kind of like, I was obsessed with those, those toy machines outside of the supermarket that you put 25 cents in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really loved those. I was like, this country is going to be awesome. That's all I really remember. I like was too young to form an opinion beyond like, that was all I wanted to do, and learn how to speak English.
Yeah, absolutely. You were speaking French at the time?
Yes.
Okay. And then did you find like the music that you were surrounded by was really different from the music where you're from, or what was that like for you?
Well, no, I think most of the music that I was introduced to was music of the Western and Central regions of Africa, because that's what my parents listened to. They listened to quite a bit of Michael Jackson. That was as pop as it got. And I actually remember Mariah Carey coming to the public school that I enrolled in when we first moved to the States.
Wow.
I know.
What era was Mariah was that? Do you remember?
I think it was early 2000s.
Okay.
And it was so
like
cool.
Heartbreaker or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I forgot that memory, and my mom reminded me that I was really excited about that. So we must have listened to Mariah Carey as well. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting too, like thinking back. So you started releasing music like around 2014 on Bandcamp, and you were introduced.
God, it's been that long.
I know. It's 10 years, girl. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
You've been doing it. So, and you kind of like first started making music that was like more like indie singer-songwriter, and then you've developed over time. And also in that time, what's become really popular is African music worldwide, like as pop music. So you have like Afro pop, Afro beats. And then I feel like I hear a little bit more of that in your music as time goes on. And I'm curious for you if the popularity of that has changed to like how you identify as an artist or just like as a person of the world.
It's interesting. In a way, it's made me excited that people are open to that music now, and that I could blend in, my melodies to a kind of Afrobeat type of rhythms, because I've always liked it, and I've always been inspired by African guitars. Yeah. Even when I did make more indie rock and singer-songwriter guitar voice music, I always really liked polyrhythms. I always really liked African guitars. So it has made me excited that the world is ready to hear that and bring that onto the main stage, because I have always listened to that music and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice. I noticed in the song Carpenter, it immediately reminded me of Paul Simon collaborating with like the South African bassist. I always forget how to say his name, but there's like dum dum dum. Right. And yeah, so it's just really exciting to hear, like as someone who loves all those styles of music to hear you doing that too.
Yeah, and I think for me it's important to have like African people making African music. I think the whole world has really loved our music, and has enjoyed making it and been being inspired by it. But I think it's really important to like have African artists making that music and being as successful as non-African artists making that music.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of music, I noticed, in stalking you on the internet, since we're going to hang out, that we have a lot of like music taste in common, which excited me.
Yeah.
I noticed in there you were digging on some Georgie Benjor from Brazil, and also System of a Down, Toxicity, which I was like, I literally have been listening to that record like to get me hyped in the morning recently.
Yeah.
Is that one of those that like gets you hyped?
Totally.
Yeah.
It gets me into my rage as well.
Yes, the rage is needed, right? Yeah. There's like a beauty in the rage, would you say?
Oh yeah, I love rage.
Yeah.
She's like, I love rage.
And then also on the music tip as well, you were talking about Mariah Carey earlier, and I heard that, or I read that a song that you're going to perform a little later was partially inspired by Mariah Carey.
Well,
is that true?
It was more that I really love that Mariah Carey used words like incessantly in songs, and she's kind of always using these like heavy syllable words, and I wanted to write a song where there's a word in it that's like, you don't hear that in a song often. So that's Lexicon.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, and a few more songs before that. Vagabon. So much fun having you here on Morning Becomes Eclectic. Thank you so much. Let's bring the band back on.
Thank you so much.
Audience, keep on clapping. Thanks for being here in the studio. Thanks for listening on the other end. It is 89.9 KCRW, and it is Vagabon Live.